All right, greetings, folks. This is Scott with the Game Audio Institute. We're continuing our lovely journey into audio scripting in Unity, and we are going to look a little bit more at where we had just left off with regards to our snapshot stuff. So let's go take a look where we're at. All right, so where we last left off, our hero was defining themselves as Unity Engine.audio. That's an important thing. We definitely need to have a normal script here. You leave all these other ones that are here, but definitely that Unity Engine.audio is really important because anything having to do with the audio mixer snapshots, a few other kinds of things on top of that require the Unity Engine audio namespace, right? That's basically the list of functions and methods and stuff like that that are specifically audio related, or more recently audio related, I should say, since audio source does not actually fall under Unity Engine audio, falls under the regular Unity Engine. But the thing that we wanted to do was declare our audio mixer snapshot. We definitely wanted to do that, and that's called outside, audio mixer snapshot inside. Now, what are we going to have for the action that we want to have happen? Well, this one's very built into what audio mixer snapshots can do. And what you're going to call it is essentially the function is called transition to with whatever the name of the actual snapshot is. Now, the name is the variable name that I've given it. So essentially in this case, let's say if I want to untrigger enter, I would say inside dot transition to. Transition to. And what it needs inside this thing is the float value for the time that we're going to use. Now, so how it's going to happen is that you have to guess, in general, based on the speed of your character, what the good crossfade is. So this is kind of fooling the ear. This isn't a manual crossfade in a sense, like it is when we were covering the reverb zones, right? In the reverb zone, you're physically walking, from the maximum distance to the minimum distance, and you go a certain way in, and as you do that, the volume is going to ramp up. And if you stop midway, it's going to stop midway. That's not going to happen here. In other words, once you trigger this, once you're in the trigger area, it's going to ramp up the volume of the reverb. So the question will be, based on your game's design, the game that you're working on or whatever, you have to guess how long it's going to take for the player to walk into the room from the outside fully. So you pick a certain time that you think is logical. 1 second's not too bad. You could maybe do it less or you could do it more. You just have to figure out what you're going to have happen. Right? So, for example, let's just say you have a character and there's a door to the space, right? And then you walk into the door, you have to open the door. So if you open the door, and maybe the door takes a while to open before you can even enter in, okay? So then you'll want to be able to make that transition a lot, longer. That kind of thing before you walk in, or a little bit longer anyway. So in this case, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to create a public float. And that float value will be pretty much exactly the same for both actions, but you could create a different float for different transitions. So we're going to call this public float fade time. So it's called public float fade time. We don't give it a value. We can obviously put that value in the inspector. Remember, if we declare public things and they show up in the inspector. So we're going to create inside transition to fade time. That's the idea. So we're basically going to use whatever fade time has been set to and do all this. Now, then, in the case of the other one, on trigger exit, here we go again. And here is the exit. And that's going to be outside, transition to fade time. And again, that's the idea. So that's basically pretty much it. That's all we have to do. It's called reverb trigger. Got it going. We just have to now put the snapshots in, essentially. So that's what we will do. Make sure there's no errors on the console. Console doesn't show me any errors. Can't see that. It's behind my video at the moment, but no big deal right now. Okay, so now what happens is, as we see, our reverb trigger script shows none audio mixer snapshot, and it says inside none audio mixer snapshot, and then it said fade time is 0. Well, you don't want fade time 0 for sure. You don't want an immediate change, but you want a relatively fast change. So between 1/2 second to 1, something like that. Pretty good. All right. Now, the audio mixer snapshot is one of the few things that if you're doing an audio mixer snapshot, at least at this point in time, maybe future versions of Unity will fix this to some extent. What happens in this particular case is you cannot drag objects over, which you can do with practically almost anything else. If you have a game object or a transform or, an audio source or whatever like that, you can drag an object that has those components over it, and it will use that overall. In the case of the audio mixer snapshot, you do not have that option. You have to have a mixer created, and you have to have snapshots. And once you do that, you can then click that button. And when you do that, you'll see the 2 snapshots that you currently have on that mixer. I believe that's it. Yeah. So in this particular case, I think that if you have more than one mixer, it'll show you what the different names of the mixer are, but we don't have that. We only have one mixer, so it's only going to show us just whatever snapshots for that mixer there are. If you created more than one mixer, you should be able to see each mixer showing up as a separate object. So we're going to say outside is going to be snapshot. And the inside one will be, and you have to kind of basically go back over here and then do the thing, and it'll pop back up over here again on the side. And then you have to basically click in room. So there we go. And let's give it a really like in-roomy kind of sound, essentially. So in that particular case, I'm not sure how we can do this. How can we do this? I wonder if we could actually find the preset from a reverb zone. It doesn't really show that. Can I do that thing here? No, that's the receive. Nope, can't really do that. So let me see something here. Well, I'm kind of curious about this. I'm just guessing this. I don't know this for a fact. I'm just guessing things. That's the reverb room. Oh, I deleted that thing, didn't I? All right, let's add a reverb zone and let's just see. At the very least, it'll give us some settings that it might have. We can also just manually play around with that, of course, too. We're gonna see here audio, reverb zone. We'll just stick that far away somewhere. I don't know where. And let me see if I go to any of these things. Padded cell. Yeah, it does actually change them. So I want to go to try to think about any kind of really small area, not big ones. Sewer pipe. That's a little bit weirder. Stone corridor. All right, so I want to do this, and I want to see copy component. And I don't think I can do it inside a mixer because I think they're 2 different objects. It'd be lovely if I could. No, I can't do that. Copy effect settings to all snapshots. Don't want to do that. We definitely want to make sure that the snapshot is the same for these. So we might have to do some kind of thing where we like look at both of these, which is a little bit annoying actually, I have to say. But yeah, Stone Corridor says these 3. Just give a rough idea, I guess. Okay, got it. All right, so and we can tweak this as we need to. Now the thing about it, yes, is whatever settings we set here will then be only good for this in-room snapshot, but that's probably okay since we're not really using it when we're outside at the moment, right? That's the idea. So let's see, go back to there. What was it? Yeah, okay, got it. So back to here, and it's sort of like this. Just going by this real quickly here. And we definitely wanted to have both of these at maximum, pretty much. And then let's see what the other things are saying. What are the last 4? Okay, 1, 2, and then reflections was high. Got it. And reflections is high. Reverb at 0 is probably fine. Reverb delay, 4 seconds. Very low reverb delay. Okay, and then I think the diffusion and density are basically the same. Yeah, that's fine. And then there's different other stuff with the left and the reference. It's sort of like in different order slightly. But I mean, this is probably pretty good to test the concept, essentially. All right, so now that we have this and we have our thing, let's just give it a try inside the game, and we shall see what happens. So here's our... Okay, and we are at Snapshot. We're outside, technically. We're not in the room yet. So we're going to go around. And keep going. Sorry about that. Now we're walking in the trigger area. We should be getting somewhere. Let's see what happens. Looks like I've done something incorrectly. Yeah, okay, so that's what it was. So actually what happened was that it started out with the send being on already. Anyway, so this is the normal. That's very mild, of course. That's not a very intense reaction at all. But the idea is that you can potentially add more if you want to. The idea then ends up being is that on the snapshot, here's the deal. Inside test reverb, the send level for this to begin should be at send level 0. So that sort of didn't seem like it actually did a thing. And then the send level here was at -15. We can goose that up a little bit here. Let's see, high frequency reference, maybe there. Room high frequency decay time, maybe a little bit more reverb. See reverb delay. Yeah, that's probably okay. Take the dry level down though. Of course, we don't really want to have lots of dry going on. We want to have more room sound going on. So we'll probably pull that down so we're only getting the reverb. And let's try this again. See what happens. Okay, so, and again, that's what's happening is it's actually turning that on by default, which is really not cool. That might mean that we have to actually have a script that really just says, hey, by the way, you are not actually doing reverb, because that is not a cool thing at all. You can edit this, by the way, in the play mode, and you can kind of do some stuff with it. But as you can see, test reverb has been set to this high level, even though that's the default snapshot that we're currently hitting. We're not in the room right now, so it's basically seeing that there. See, now it's switched back. So that's a bug. That's a bug with the system. That's not good. So that means that you probably have to have a script that would actually, automatically set the transition to that, maybe kind of quickly back and forth, so that it would address that issue, which is a little not good. Okay, that should be our thing. Oh, because we're in play mode. Yeah, that's another thing I should mention. Yeah, that's another thing. So when you're in play mode, it disables. It really sucks, by the way. It disables all snapshots when you're editing in play mode. You can edit the mixer in play mode. That's what this button is all about here too. When you do that, all of the snapshot stuff just gets totally overridden. Just really annoying. I don't like that. So let's go try that again. Oh, come on. Sorry about the controls. They are really, really glitchy today. All right, here we go. Come on. And there we go. It's way too big of a room, of course. But we can adjust that kind of stuff. And you can adjust those characteristics, if you will. Those characteristics will count for the actual thing itself. So you can kind of walk around inside here and you can try and test that out inside here. What you can't do is just have the snapshot work. That's all. So you can call that good enough for the room, right? Not super reverby, right? And that can potentially basically work. And then usually, I believe, it won't go away if you stop play mode. Because this is an asset. This is not in the scene. So if I go like this, yeah, you notice that none of those controls changed overall. So anyway, okay, I think that will take us out. I hope you learned something this time for this situation. It's not the most ideal, whatever, but this is a way to be able to manage situations inside rooms so that when you walk into a room, you can basically get reverb. It's a little bit trickier, but it doesn't involve physical spaced shapes, reverb zones effectively, essentially, right? So, but of course, it does require scripting in order to be able to manage it, all that kind of stuff. So I hope you learned something. I think we will probably cover occlusion next, but we will have to get into things like raycasting, which is a lot of fun because you have to understand when the object is being occluded and when it isn't being occluded and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll get into some of that. And look, if you have suggestions for anything that you'd like to see in this series, please leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all the various things. If you feel like supporting us for future videos, we have a Patreon, so you can go and sign up for any of that sort of stuff. You can obviously click the notification bell if you want to get our next video that we have. We post pretty much every week at this point in time. So I hope this helps you get your game audio on, and we will see you in the next ones. Take care. Bye.